everybody, welcome back to another week at Beyond the Trailer Park. And this week, it's just us ladies for the evening. So, as always, joining, I'm going to go backwards this week. And over down south, y'all, is Miss Ashley. Good evening.
Hey, y'all.
And I bet you, I'm like sweating in here, so I can only imagine what it's like to fuck down there.
Look, we had a cold front that came through. It was a total of 95 degrees. That was our cold front.
That was the cold front. Damn.
But I do have to say one thing, because you were talking about it's just us three ladies tonight. Well, apparently we're goddesses tonight.
Oh, good.
Because Trippin is in the Google Hangout chat. He said, "Good evening, goddesses. Hope the weekend was okay."
Aw, thank you, Trippin. Hello.
So we are goddesses this evening.
Woo.
Although I think he needs to get his eyes checked for one of us.
Oh, Beth, hush your mouth.
Stop.
Hey, I don't have the voice for radio, and I don't have the face for TV.
Oh shit! I thought you were talking about me.
Oh, fuck you. Hey, do you have a fuck you segment for this week?
How's Beth? Yeah.
No, Beth took mine for the week.
We'll work on that. The fuck you. But so how the hell is it in Pennsylvania there, Beth?
It's not too bad. It's not as hot as down in Georgia, thank God, because I have no air conditioning. But
which one?
Zeus.
Okay.
I like Zeus.
What does God have to do anything? Well, apparently we're in hell because of how hot it is.
Yeah, you may be. I'm in purgatory then.
Well, yeah. And this is stupid because, like, Ashley, you would probably think it was cold right now. It's outside. It's only like 19 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in fucked up temperature, but it's 19 degrees. But it's just really, really humid, and it's, even though we have the air conditioning on in here, I'm finding it really warm. So I have my Thomas Paine fan.
Let's see. What? Oh, yeah, I think it was cold if I was there, because that's 66 degrees in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, like sweater on.
Yeah. I'm finding it a little stuffy and warm in here. But it's also a glory hole day, too.
I was going to say, you got a dick on your boob.
I do. It's a glorious...
Sorry, I just had to say that.
That's why she's all hot and bothered, because she's got a dick on her boob.
That's probably it. There you go.
Cool.
So, yeah, I know. So this week, we just figured, you know what, we'll just fucking wing it, because why the hell not, right? So,
that's right.
I have some things that I figure I wouldn't mind talking about, and I think Beth does, and I don't know, Ashley, you might too, so
I just figured we just have a conversation. We'll just chit-chat.
That sounds good to me.
Listening in on our phone call.
Yeah. Well, because while you were busy making bacon earlier, Beth and I were talking, and so we got some stuff going on.
You know, that didn't sound right either.
I know.
That sounded like a behind, like a code word for me and Bobby having sex while you and Beth were talking.
Yeah, no, she was literally making bacon in a pan because she sent me a picture.
Yes, it did.
Yes, and your dinner looked a lot better than mine, by the way.
That right there is what I call, I don't feel like cooking a big meal, and the boys are not really giving me an idea of what they want. So I'll just throw something together. And that's exactly what I did. And he just also got back with my sweet tea. I sent him out to the store to get me a sweet tea.
Well, there you go. See, you know, you can't live without the sweet tea, I guess.
Oh, you got me one for in the morning too? Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet of you.
Aww.
Me too with these. How big they are.
Yeah, that's those Parker's glasses. I'm familiar. The ones that were so damn big I couldn't take it home on the motorcycle. Or no, it was the plane.
Yeah.
I could probably squeeze one in a motorcycle this time, but not on the plane.
I could.
Yeah.
We'll have to make sure that happens.
Yeah,
I need stock in Parkers.
Yeah. If we had one here, I would probably go, but we don't. So, Trippin says it's 78 in North Carolina and feeling pretty good outside. Barely any humidity finally. Nice to go outside and not sweat for once. Well, I don't know why it's damn stuffy in here, but it is. So, yeah. So I was saying just before we came on, I kind of made a new friend this week, and I don't know if he's going to be listening later, but it was a young fellow, and I admit I had to look up his country because he's in a country, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Comoros. And it's off the coast of like South Africa, but out in the fucking ocean.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like 3 islands out in the middle of the fucking ocean, out by the tip of Africa.
And it's South Africa?
Yes, the bottom part of Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd never heard of Comoros before, but this young fellow, and he's a brand new atheist. I'm not sure how long yet, but he's quite a young fellow. I'm not sure he's even out of high school yet. But he messaged me and was like, "Hi, can I be your friend? I'm a new atheist and I want to meet more atheist people." And so I looked it up, and Comoros is 98% Muslim.
Really?
98 fucking percent Muslim. So
I never would have guessed that. Never.
no. Their story, I did a little bit of reading on, okay, it was Wikipedia, but it's a good place to start. But according to somebody, ruler in their country, at some point apparently heard about Muhammad, like that long ago. And so I don't know how somebody on an island at the very bottom of Africa in 1400 fucking years ago would ever hear about Muhammad in Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
Like how was that happening? I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that the people in Mecca didn't know there was a fucking country down the island. But anyway, that person supposedly heard about Muhammad and traveled to Mecca to find out about this whole Islam thing. And when they got there, Muhammad had already died, but they were able to find out about Islam and they brought it back to the island. But they were taken over by the French for a while. So and a lot of folks down there do speak French.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2% of people that are Catholic mostly. So my new little friend, he was Muslim, and then he did try Christianity for a while, which is, common for folks to do. But now he figured it all out. And you know what? Whatever people say about Dawkins, I gotta say, this young man read Dawkins, and that's why he's an atheist. So, you know what? I don't care how much Dawkins fucks up on Twitter. This shit is valuable. This is valuable. And in fact, I was talking to my friend Sudeep yesterday at the brunch, and he's from India, and he said that's how I figured out I read Dawkins. Mm-hmm. So,
Wow.
You either love or you hate the man, but you have to admit, minus his vitriol and his social faux pas on Twitter, he says what needs to be said. And some people, that's what you need. You need that slap upside the head, just like Hitch. I mean, he was kind of vitriolic. I mean, he went hard against the Catholic Church, especially Mother Teresa.
Yep.
I mean, some people, especially in a situation where it's 98% Islam, you need that vitriol, that hatred, that dislike, if you want to call it, to maybe, to get through, because you have to remember, any religion, it doesn't matter whether it's Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, they get you when you're barely able to walk.
Yeah.
And they want to get you by the time you're 7 to 10 years old. After 10, if they don't have you by then, they're never going to get you fully. They might. I mean, I have a few that I deal with that are latecomers to religion and have fallen hook, line, and sinker for it. But they want the kids.
Yeah.
You know, I'm simply amazed that somebody who lives in a country or an island country, all the above, with 98%, and I'm see if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Sunni Muslim.
Yes, that's correct. She's looking at, she's doing the Wikipedia thing.
Oh, well, this is the I got this from the World Fact Book, which is part of the CIA. It's actually from the CIA website.
Oh, very impressive.
Yeah, so
Sunni Muslim.
Yeah, 98% Sunni Muslim and 2% Roman Catholic. To have that, I'm simply amazed that somebody can come out of that as an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And that's just, I mean, I can understand why this individual is reaching out looking for, you know, like-minded people.
Absolutely. So I was really happy to be able to brighten his horizons a little bit.
Oh yeah, and it gives me hope, you know. It gives me hope that if somebody who, I mean, you let's look, it's almost 100%, you know. Okay, come on, you know, of Muslim, and you managed to find a way to figure out that it wasn't real.
Exactly. And like, he's still very much in the closet. He hasn't told anybody in his family for obvious reasons, right? Now, I don't get the sense that it's the kind of thing where you're going to lose your head if you don't believe per se. I could be wrong, but I didn't get that impression. But still, you're on a little fucking island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and everybody you know is a Muslim.
Right.
Like, how...
It's not like you can walk up to them and go, excuse me, can I interrupt your what is it, morning, noon, night prayer, whatever it is they do every 24 hours? What is it that they do?
5 times a day they do that prayer shit.
Yeah. Can I interrupt you to let you know that I don't believe in what you're doing and I'm an atheist? I'd like to know how well that'll go over.
Yeah. Not very well. And you know, when talking to him, he brought up a really good point, and this is obviously a really smart young man. Because I'm not going to give away his age, but he's young enough that, you know, I at that age wasn't particularly thinking about this, but he said, you know, I've been worried that I'm never going to find a girlfriend that I can have or get married, because where am I going to find somebody that thinks like me? Mm-hmm. Right? So, you know, just telling him that, you know, there's millions of us out in the rest of the world, he's like, oh, I'll be able to find a girlfriend. I'm like, you probably have to move, but yes, you will.
So, you'll find a whole bunch of them. Just thought we'd go ahead and throw that out there.
Yeah, I'm thinking there might be just a few, you know, because, you know, and I think it was nice when I was talking to him. I told him that I was pretty young, too, when I figured that out, and he thought that was kind of cool. So,
right.
And you know, he's I love the way he's thinking about this, because in his country, and I think we've seen enough, like, I've talked to a number of Nigerians. You know, there's Mubarak that I've talked to, who's Nigerian. Mubarak Bala, who got his family threw him in a mental hospital because he said he was an atheist in Nigeria. But a lot of those African countries are huge on magic and superstition, and there are countries that, you know, albino black people are killed for, like, black magic.
Body parts.
Yeah,
body parts for black magic. I mean, they have a very strange twist of the old school black magic mixed with Christianity. And one of the guys that you had posted some links from YouTube, that one preacher dude. He's
Oh,
real big. He's not big as. Yeah, he's not big into the black magic bullshit, but if you watch his stuff, it's all this Pentecostalism mixed with,
yep.
mainstream Christianity, and it's perverted even more when you throw in the whole black magic bullshit.
Well, and Muslims believe in jinns, right? So
yeah, they're. Yeah.
So I was going to say, my young friend, one of his first questions to me is, okay, I see these people that they say they're into, because he said, what do you think about magic, like black magic and stuff? I'm like, no, it's all bullshit. And he's like, well, there's these people here in my country that it seems like they can, grow back limbs and perform all these magical miracle things. And I explained to him what illusion is and what quote magicians are, and then I sent him to go Google Penn and Teller, and he came back and he's like, I get it now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what these preacher men, especially in Africa and some of your Southeast Asian countries, do. They prey on that superstition.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's ripe for the taking. I mean, I'll use Scott Lively as an example with the LGBT issue in Uganda. And you and I were talking about this before this show. I mean, most people, as far as the cultural wars concerning LGBTQI issues, the Reich as a whole, and I'm talking, all the different groups as a whole, have pretty much given up on the United States. Yes. So what they've done is I call it exporting the hate. You look at places like Uganda. Ireland has also been hit by it. We all know Russia is, and I'm not discounting the trials of the transgender community that are currently going through, and we'll probably hit on this with the bathroom bills. I'm not discounting that. What I'm saying is, since the Overfell's ruling last year, basically, in a nutshell, that whole issue is, I won't say settled, but there's not much people are going to be able to do to change the SCOTUS ruling. So they're exporting it to these countries where they're hoping to be able to put pressure on the United States to basically backdoor their discrimination, and that's what they're trying to do. That's why Trump is so buddy-buddy with Putin, or he appears to be. Whether he really is another the whole ball of wax, but that's why, NAM, which is the National Organization for Marriage, is financially tied to Putin. There is documented proof of their donations to Putin, to Putin's cabinet in Russia, supporting the draconian laws he's put in place. There are financial ties to Uganda, Scott Lively being the primary one, and he's going through a crimes against humanity trial now. What a lot of people don't realize is people like Rick Warren. Oh, he's so nice. He wrote, Purpose-Driven Life, and he supposedly saved that woman who was a hostage because of her book. And Michael Phelps, he read Purpose-Driven Life and refocused his career. And bull fucking shit. The guy wants you fucking dead if you're gay.
Yep.
I mean, so to have an individual like your new friend come out and say, hey, that's our future.
Yeah, I was. See, y'all started creating a monster over here. Just thought I'd point that out. Because when y'all start like places like this, I start going and searching and seeing what I can find. And I try to stay away from Wikipedia, whatever.
Yep.
And because I know that it can be edited and so forth. But I'm reading this about the island. It's real short. About the island that he's from. Trafficking in person. The current situation. Comoros is a source country for children subjected to forced labor and reportedly sex trafficking domestically, and women and children are subjected to forced labor in Mayate. It is possibly a transit and destination country for Malagasy women and girls, and a transit country for East African women and girls exploited in domestic service in the Middle East. Homegrown children are forced to labor in domestic service, roadside and street vending, baking, fishing, and agriculture. Some students at Quranic schools are exploited for forced agriculture or domestic labor, sometimes being subjected to physical and sexual abuse. Commerce may be particularly vulnerable to transnational trafficking because of an inadequate border controls, government corruption, and the presence of international criminal networks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's from the CIA site?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you that shit on Wikipedia.
Yeah. And apparently it's gone from they watch these countries apparently and they put them in tiers. I guess one being not the worst and whatever, but it said that they'd moved them to tier 3 because they had not fully complied with the minimum standards for elimination of trafficking. Number 2 was apparently just a watch list. Now they're really being watched. So
good.
Good.
Trip, and I gave you the answer in the Spreaker chat there, by the way. So.
But what kills me when you read something like that, Ashley, is especially in the I'll say in the anti-vaxxer community, and we're hearing it politically from Donald Trump, I'm going to make America great again. And I'm thinking, what exactly are we missing when you read something like that?
Yeah, I pointed that out to somebody one day about Trump saying we're going to make America great again. And I'm like, and I started thinking about it and I started talking to them and I was like, okay, so I remember I remember parts of the past because I was part of it, but I remember that blacks, African Americans had no rights.
Mm-hmm.
Women had no rights.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I would like to know, and I'm going to use an anti-vaxxer as an example. She was complaining that concerning the measles vaccination, that we should go back to the way it was. It was sanitation itself stopped measles from spreading, and that's why it was wiped out. Well, measles vaccine came out in 1963. So I asked her point blank, I said, so what part of going back to America, the good old days would you like? Because I asked my father today, I said, Dad, did you ever have to piss in a pot and throw it in the street? And he's like, what? Now, you got to remember, my dad's 87 years old, and I come up with these odd questions for him. My dad lived through the 30s, 40s, 50s, and he never once shit in the street or pissed in a pot and threw it out, into the, quote, sewer. It's like back in the 50s, they had sanitation. So I wanted to, and I was trying to keep politics out of this post, but I so wanted to say, what part do you want to go back to? Because prior to the vaccine, we still had sanitation. I mean, our sanitation and our water infrastructure was there prior to the 50, prior to 63. So I'm not quite sure what you want to go back to, because prior to the vaccine, 500,000 people a year got measles. 40,000 plus died from it, mostly children. Go to an old cemetery. It's like, I don't understand. I mean, especially after you reading something like that about this small country, island country that is being watched for human trafficking.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
So anyway, I salute my new friend there. I'm really impressed with the way you managed to think yourself out of that situation. And like I said, with the magician stuff, he was finding it, he kind of was like, okay, there's no God, but how does this magic shit work? Right? And so instead of kind of going, well, maybe magic is real, he went and found somebody and asked and said, hey, you've been an atheist, what do you think of this magic stuff? and I was able to give him a rational explanation for what was happening. So, good on you, my friend. Like, yay.
Well,
So,
definitely be safe and careful out there, and
yes. And,
yeah,
Yes.
and
reach out. And,
Okay, I have a question for you, Deb. Did he find you just in general through your Facebook, or?
I believe so. I didn't really ask him where he found me, but that seemed to be because he put in a friend request. And this was the other thing that impressed me, because he sent me a message and then a friend request, like, "Hi, I'm so and so. I'm an atheist and I'm looking for more atheist people, and that's why I sent you a friend request." So I have to ask him that where he found me, because I don't
Yeah.
actually know.
Well, the only reason I asked that is if by chance he found you through our show, and I'm saying this to all the podcasters out there.
Yeah.
This is why your shows are important. Now, he may not listen to our show. He might, but he might listen to something else. This is why. Yeah. Well, this is why our shows, not just ours, specifically Beyond the Trailer Park, this is why atheist shows are so important.
Yes. Yeah, because
Because,
he wasn't listening then, so it wasn't because of the show, I will say that, but we talked about it, and he's already subscribed to the channel and was like, "I'm gonna go watch you guys." So, the little bit that we know, he's gonna soak that up like a sponge, and then I'm gonna, other of us can recommend other things that he can listen to and watch, and he can soak all that up too.
yeah, and that's my point. I mean, somebody like him is going to soak this information in, and whether it be something serious, serious dialogue, or like tonight for us is just basically a throwback, kicking around. You're listening to our phone conversation basically,
Yep.
and I think that's why our shows are important. Or if you're a blogger, or just very active on Facebook.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, good on you, my friend. And Trippin just in the comments here said, and if my friend is listening, and I'm sure he'll know who he is, it says for safety, if you're contacting me on Facebook or sorry, through a computer. So if you're on Facebook through a computer, as opposed to like on your phone, let's say, he recommends something about a C or a C cleaner, something that will remove your search history and such from your computer in case anybody in your family gets nosy about what you've been doing. So you might want to look into doing that, my friend. If you're on your phone, then just make sure you keep good tabs on your phone and it's locked when you're not using it. That'll keep snoopers out of your stuff.
Yeah. You can also go into your settings on the computer and delete your history. But the CC Cleaner, what's nice about it, it will overwrite your history a couple times. You can do it more than once, and it will just keep overwriting and wipe out your history. You'd have to be computer forensics to really get into it. I have it on mine.
Excellent. Excellent.
Beth, what you got to erase all your history for?
Yeah, you.
Oh, well, okay. Look at boy. All of a sudden, she got thirsty.
Yeah. She's like, la 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 la.
You know what?
Well, besides the obvious, if anybody ever looked at my history, they think I've lost my ever frickin' mind.
I don't know. I'm looking at you blushing right now, going, "What in the hell's on Beth's computer?"
Yeah, and we thought you were.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Probably. I don't know. I might not.
We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Notice don't ever go on Deb's computer.
Yeah, well, you don't want to know what's on mine either. And I've got 3 of the three, yeah.
See, I just have 3 hard drives.
Nah,
Well,
see?
4 actually.
Yeah, I've almost got to shifting Arno to the newer computer, so because I've been torturing him with 2 gigs of RAM for the last 6 years, 5 years,
Mhm.
so it's finally caught up. But when we started, it was fine, but yeah, not so much anymore.
Mm.
Oh, so
Just so, by
uh,
the way, because I know we're doing like a free for all tonight. This is a vaping thing, so that I'm
yeah,
vaping.
isn't that the podcaster thing to do?
I
Pretty
think
much.
so, but um, Bobby and I are like really, really, really trying to step away from cigarettes.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to vape more,
Yeah.
and he went all day without a cigarette.
Whoa, good job.
He got around me. It became all my fault. Apparently, I shoved a cigarette down his throat and made him light it and smoke it too. I made him inhale.
Well, if you make him bacon, I can see how that might work. I don't know.
I know, he's like, you give me a cigarette and then you're gonna give me a heart attack.
Well, I mean, he. I'm one to say this, but he could go and have a salad. He's about as likely to do that as I am.
He looks at a tomato and goes, "Ooh,
Yeah, me
look
too.
like ketchup." Go figure.
I like ketchup too, and tomato. Well, I like very, very plain tomato sauce. So, yeah, if there was like tomato chunks in my tomato sauce, I would have to take them out.
Yeah, Bobby wouldn't eat that.
Yeah, I would eat it if I removed said tomato chunks. But yeah.
He probably wouldn't even eat that.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
he's weird.
Yeah. Well, we know who outweirds who in the food department,
This
though.
is true. You do have him beat. I
We tested this. Like what you made for your dinner, I wouldn't eat that.
um. Oh yeah, that had
Chicken, and it looked like a chunk of ham as well as the bacon.
it
And I
had
think,
bacon.
yeah, I eat that.
It had egg that was cooked in the bacon
Yep.
grease.
Yep, I eat that.
Cheese.
Had what?
Cheese.
Okay, yep, we're good so far.
Had lettuce. No, it didn't have lettuce. Had tomato and onion,
Nope.
except for Bobby's. Then
Yeah.
it had ham slices, like the sandwich meat ham.
Right.
And
Hmm.
Yeah, the ham and the turkey would probably turkey's a no. The ham is a yeah. It depends how thin it is.
oh, it was really thin, but I cooked it in after I did the eggs and the bacon grease. Then I threw the ham and the turkey in there and cooked it.
Okay,
Yeah, so
so it was. You see, I don't do turkey, but yeah, at least you baconified the turkey. That's okay.
that's what they call my kicking sandwiches.
Ooh. Well,
Right.
see, yesterday at the brunch, they only gave me like 3 measly strips of bacon, so I had to order like an extra order of bacon and eat that.
Ah.
Yeah. I don't
Ah.
have, it is not now for my vegetarian and vegan friends. That's perfectly acceptable for you to attend a heathen group without eating bacon. But for us carnivores, it's really not a heathen get together without the bacon. I'm sorry.
You gotta have bacon.
Yeah,
I know.
and
Bacon.
Deborah
if
says, I sure do wish you could get bacon in the mail. I said, you can.
and then she sent me a picture of the damn bacon on the skillet, and I was like, "Bitch, I can't eat that."
Don't ever get vegan bacon. It's fucking gross. That's
I
all.
wouldn't touch vegan anything.
I
I
didn't know
have
they made
tried.
vegan bacon.
It's probably like made of tofu or some shit.
It's made. Some of it's made out of tofu, and then what always baffled me when I was vegan, and we're going probably about 20 years where I haven't been, is that they always tried to flavor it like bacon. Well, how are you gonna flavor something like bacon if it's supposed to be vegan?
Like,
Right.
why would a vegan like? Now, I only personally know one vegan right now, and I don't think he even really likes the meat flavors anymore. Like, he's gotten away
Hmm.
from that. So,
Yeah.
I would imagine that your average vegan, like, why would they want it to taste like a dead animal if that's, yeah, because you
Right.
know, for a lot of vegans, it's an ethical thing. Like, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them that I have talked to, it's an ethical thing. They don't want to do anything that will potentially harm animals. So for them, eating things like milk and eggs and that, because of how some farms harvest that, they don't like the idea and they avoid it. So to me, having something that tastes like bacon, isn't that like reminding you that, pigs are being killed for people to actually eat bacon? I don't know.
That's the way I would think. I mean, I
What's
was
that?
vegan because I just didn't like the flavor of meat. I mean, basically, I can eat chicken. Now I eat seafood. I'll eat pork every now and then, but I cannot, no matter how hard I try, except for meatloaf, I can't stand beef. And I've never really liked beef. Occasionally I'll make meatloaf, and very rare, like around the holidays, I will get a really nice ribeye, but it has to be almost raw.
Right.
But it's like I just don't like beef. I never have. Even when I was a kid, I never. I mean, it was always chicken or seafood,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which I can't afford.
I've got a friend that's vegan, and I mean not vegan, but vegetarian, and she's actually trying to lay off more of the dairies and the breads and stuff like that. But she comes to work, and I'm seriously thinking about doing this. But she comes to work with chia seeds, and she mixes them.
Okay. Before we get to that, are we talking like chia pet growing the?
Chia pet, but they are chia seeds. Because I thought the same thing too. I thought, well, if a chia pet can grow like that, what makes you think it ain't gonna grow like that in my tummy?
Yeah.
But they're supposed to be like really healthy for you. But you can like mix them with like a yogurt or like she uses milk and she puts a little bit of cinnamon in it.
Right.
And I didn't like that, but I've thought of different ways that I can make it to where I like it. But when I do that, then it's kind of going to defeat the whole diet and purpose.
Okay.
Because I like to mix chia seeds in with my, chocolate pudding.
I see now that to me would make your chocolate pudding gritty, so I don't think I can. I feel like eating gravel in your pudding, but okay.
There's definitely a substance to it. I mean, a texture to it that you have to get past.
See, me and texture don't get along very well. That's why I don't eat real food. Right?
Right. Bobby's the same way, except for he's taste too.
Yeah, there's some things I hate the taste of. Like, I remember as a child being given what was it, like pureed turnip or something, and I thought it tasted hideous. Gross.
There's a lot of stuff I wouldn't eat as a child, like asparagus, squash, or anything like that. I wouldn't eat that as a child. I eat it all the time now. Even Christian eats it.
Huh. I don't know. I was a very stubborn kid, I think, though. Like, the whole sit there and until you finish eating it, I would sit there and be like, okay, tell me when I can go to bed.
Right?
Yeah, because, like, seriously, I would barf if I tried to eat that stuff. But, I'm weird. Whatever.
Oh, my goodness.
So now I got a couple of other things I was hoping to get into, but I don't want to monopolize everything. Do you ladies have anything you want to bring up first?
No, go ahead with me.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, Beth, we were talking about this a little bit before. So I was at my monthly Toronto brunch yesterday, and my friend Jamie and I were talking, and he told me about this school that is in St. Catharines, which is Niagara region, and it's a high school. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before. In Ontario, we've got two public school boards. There's the regular public and the separate school board, and that's the Catholics. And they do get public funding, which is a whole thing here. I'm not happy about it, etc. But this school operates under the regular public school board, and we did a little looking, and they were founded by Mennonites back in, what was it, Beth, in like the early 30s or something? The main school, anyway.
1938. It was actually a Mennonites that settled in Virgil, Ontario.
Right. And
Established
so
a Bible school.
A Bible school, and now this high school. So my beef with this, and now with Beth and I had done some digging before the show, and I might be wrong to actually have a beef about this. We're not entirely sure. But this school has a, quote, spiritual life center in the fucking school, which is a church.
What?
Yes. In the fucking church. And now, at first, I was like, oh, no, you don't. And they've had this for a number of years, like since the school started, basically. And I'd never heard of it. But that's, a couple hours away from me. Not quite, but, it's nowhere around here. So I'd never heard about this. And apparently there was, and the reason this came up, Jamie was telling me at the non-conference, which I couldn't fucking go to, there was a gentleman from St. Catherine's who became aware of the school, and he actually got a table at the non-conference to expose the school having a church in it, basically. And so we got looking at it, and it's what came up, and this was from the high school's About page. They call it the Spiritual Life Center. It says, the Spiritual Life Center is privately funded through parent and community donations. It is funded separately from Eden High School. But it's in the damn school, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, I'm like, okay, maybe they're skirting the law that way, but I don't think it's right that they have that damn thing there. And if you look at the history of the school proper, it steeps in religion from the get-go. So right. I said to Beth, I have a hard time believing that if you go to that high school, that you are completely separate from the spiritual life center. Like I'm sure there has to be some permutation into the rest of the school. I don't know. It just seems a bit wonky to me.
Well, it's like I was saying when we were talking earlier, is that in Canada, your church-state separation is not explicit like ours is actually written into our Constitution. Right. And I think, like, even you will say, prior to the show and prior to being involved with AOA and other outlets, you were kind of apathetic about your atheism. Because it was, and I think, this goes back to the exporting of hate. I mean, my personal opinion is we're seeing more influence of the religious right up in Canada from those that are based in the U.S. I mean, you do have, you have some really nutty political parties, but you do, like with Harper, you had that infiltration of what we call the religious right down here with his very ultra-conservative views. But I think this school basically got away with it and is getting away with it because it's not implicitly written in your laws. And I think some of your more vocal atheists up in Canada are getting wind of it and are finally putting their foot down. Like many people here in the States criticize Mikey Weinstein from MRF, Military Religious Freedom Foundation, who I'm friends with Chris Rada, who is their research person. And they're like, "Oh, Mikey, you're being hyperbolic. I mean, Like, no, I'm sorry. It goes back to, in fact, I believe it was Dave Silverman, and I could be wrong, a couple years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, this is going back a ways in my blog, but he was talking about some cases at the time where it's called secularization of the cross. And basically what happens is the cross becomes just a cultural icon. Oh, that's, well, you let that cultural icon on top of buildings such as our Capitol. Well, guess what? You just instituted that it's okay to put a cross on a secular building.
That's right.
It's going to make it 10 times harder the next time. I mean, we see that with "In God We Trust" on our money. We
Yeah.
can't get that. We cannot get that off our money. The reason being because the Supreme Court has held that that phrase has become secularized. It's tradition. The problem is, it's only tradition, since the 1950s. You talk to any revisionist of the Barton ilk, and they'll tell you that, oh, our founders did that. No, they fucking did not.
That's right.
It did not start until mid-50s with McCarthyism and the reaction to the, quote, communist scare.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened is it's on our money, and in my opinion, I don't think we will ever get it off. Not that I'm not personally offended by it. I find it annoying that a secular country has that bullshit on their money, but Supreme Court has ruled it's okay. That's why if you look at the Grease Galloway case, same thing, and that was the case about prayer before a community gathering, committee meetings. It was okay. The court said in XYZ circumstances, as long as you allow other prayers from other religions, you can do it. So, and that's how, what they're doing is secularizing these so-called institutions, and each time they're allowed to do it, it makes it that much harder the next time to do it. One of the cases David Silverman highlighted was, I think it was Utah, if I remember correctly. They were putting crosses for fallen police officers.
Right, yes.
And the problem being, not all the police officers were Christian.
That's right. They're just assuming.
So, yeah, and so what I believe, if I remember correctly, and I'm doing this solely on memory, because I didn't know we'd hit this, one of the families, I believe, complained because the officer was Jewish, I think.
Oh, boy.
Okay, and we saw the same instance with the 9/11 museum, with the so-called crossbeam cross. The only reason Judaism was added on to that whole debacle was to secularize it, make it okay. See, we have, it's Jewish too.
Yeah, bullshit.
If you look at the whole storyline behind that, with the whole, 9/11 cross, Judaism had nothing to do with it in the beginning. They didn't add that until after the case started.
Yeah. And you're right, that was David Silverman that said that.
Yeah, it was actually that speech, and I'll put it in the show notes later. It was actually that speech when he was on I can't remember. I want to say American Atheism. It was a podcast I used to listen to. I sat there and I listened to it, and it made me realize that even though I never really considered myself an activist, because basically my activism is online, that was the speech when he explained those cases. I'll have to repost that changed my mind about being as outspoken as I am. So I never even thought of that till just now. We just had him on the show recently.
Well, and further to my point where I was saying, I find it hard to believe that they're able to keep this spiritual life center completely separate. It does have its own, if you click on it from the high school page, it does take you to a different page, but it says the Spiritual Life Center at Eden High School, leading students to learn of Christ and live for Christ.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't believe that they keep it very
Well,
separate.
I think it's very similar to our good news clubs here that Dan Courtney fights
Possibly,
against.
possibly,
You
yeah.
know, and their guilt. I mean, not just them specifically, but that's how churches are infiltrating our schools here in this country. Is that a lot of groups will rent a high school auditorium for their church service, and that they think gives them an in into the school. And some schools are taking it so far to allow these preacher men to, have clubs unabated. And we see the pushback with the Satanic Temple. They now want to have a satanic club, and there's nothing the schools can do unless they outlaw all clubs.
Yep.
Get this. So I was just clicking around on the Spiritual Life Center website, and they have, so interestingly, there's a link that says for chapel, and instead I was expecting to see pictures of what this church chapel thing looks like. No, there's links to audio of some guy teaching apologetics, so you know what I'm going to be listening to later.
Oh, God.
And they have retreats. So they have a retreat for every grade level, and the not 11, 12, 10, 11, and 12 grades are already sold out. $175, and that's for a Wednesday to a Friday retreat. It takes them. Where does it take them to?
It sounds like the beginning stages of Scientology.
Almost. Well, it says it takes them to like some camp in Muskoka or something. And so and this is like the first week of fucking school. So here's how this works, right? You're a high school kid, it's first week of school in September, right? And you're told, hey, guess what? If you come to this Bible thing, you get to come away from school for the first week and go camping. So effectively, you get another week of summer.
Yep.
But it's full of Jesus.
Yep.
It's fucking slick.
Mm-hmm.
Because some kids, and I was that kid when I was a Christian. That's how I got suckered in was, hey, if you come to this meeting every week, we'll take you camping with us in the summer. And, single parent family, we had no money for fucking vacation. That's how I got suckered into the Calvinist was, hey, we'll go do this fun thing for you. Ugh.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's similar to like Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go, all the Pokestops are at churches. So it's kind of like we can get kids out walking and exercising and getting them out from the TV and video games at home, but we're going to walk them straight into different churches.
But I thought some churches were saying that the Pokemon Go thing was satanic.
Some are.
Well, apparently, if you want to get lots of balls, you need to hit the churches. Just saying.
Yeah, there's a pastor in Georgia that proved that point this week, isn't there?
Yes.
Georgia or South Carolina?
No, this one was Georgia.
That Pokemon Go thing. Now, I play it. So, I mean, I enjoy playing it, but I don't do the whole walking. Bobby just drives me around town. I like catching all the Pokemons. I mean, that is kind of fun. But, I'm being safe about it. I'm in the car. Okay? Yeah. But when I wonder if they pick churches because they think churches is a safe place for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would definitely pick, I don't know, a police station.
But listen to this, the retreat will consist of time away in Muskoka, featuring activities and sessions that will help them build positive relationships, growing character, learning about themselves from a faith perspective.
I'm wondering.
French camp.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, ugh. Gross.
Except for it only lasts, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah. No, just for, no, it's only 2 days.
Oh,
Wednesday.
$175 for 2 days?
Uh-huh. And it says registration fee covers accommodations, transportation, meals, and activities. It does not cover a planned stop for lunch on Wednesday. Students will pay for their own meal. A $50 portion of the registration is non-refundable should they decide not to attend. So, okay. Blah, blah. Oh, also our safe place policy dictates a specific leader-student ratio, so our volunteer availability will determine how many they can go. Okay, whatever. Yeah. We look forward to the blessing of serving your son or daughter through the Spiritual Life Center. Ugh. Oh.
Gotta love religious what is it? Religiotards?
Religiotards, yeah. Oh, and guess what? They provide you with a packing list for your child. Guess what's on the list?
What?
Bible.
And there's also listed another book to read.
It listed another book? What is it?
It just says book to read. So what if that book was The God Delusion?
Hey,
I think it should be the Thomas Paine Age of Reason.
Oh, excellent one. Because that's kind of subtle, because a lot of the teachers, especially up here, I bet you nobody but the history teacher would have a fucking clue why we would send that.
Well, what I find funny is I went to a Christian college, and that was one of our books that we had to read for philosophy. I could never quite figure that out.
Well, I'll tell you now, if anybody from Eden School listens to this later, yeah, don't bother worrying. It's a historical piece of literature, and that's why we highly recommend that your students read that.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I am a Thomas Paine fan, very much so. Yeah. I almost didn't get that fan. That's another story. Those are really popular. Everybody, when I got there, and I found this is from the Free Thought Society, they told me at Reason Rally that they were going to put them for sale on their site, so maybe you can still get one. But they were so popular that by the time I found their table, they had no fans left. It was a very kind person at the end of the day who told me I could have one that I found laying around. So. Yeah.
Deborah, did you beat up somebody in Washington, D.C. to get the fan?
No. I was sitting down next to them as they were tearing down their booth, and the fan was sitting there, and I said, "Is this yours?" And they said, "Well, one of our actors was using it." And I said, "Okay," and I put it down. She said, "But y'all can have it if you want." And I smiled and was like, "Thank you."
She was sitting there thinking the whole time, I hope it's not theirs, because if it ain't, I'm taking it.
Maybe. I asked first. And I was wearing my devil horns, so you know.
Oh Jesus, that's right, you were, weren't you?
Yep, I sure was. I was like that asshole at the Christian corral. There's like, "Do you worship the devil?" I'm like, "No." "Well, I thought because you're." I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sakes, buddy! Like, really?"
Oh yeah, that was that little twit.
In his neon shirt.
Yeah, standing by. You know, I got to thinking, he never once took his sunglasses off.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
I wish I would have told him to take his sunglasses off and look me in the face and tell me I was going to hell.
I should. Oh, you'll get a kick out of this, Miss Ashley, because my new friend, I got him into the NRR family group because I figured that was a good place for him to meet new atheists. And when I told him about the group, and I said, "And yeah, you see the picture at the top? That's me with the horns." And I said, "And the lady with the hat that's yelling, that's my friend Ashley." He's like, "She looks angry."
I know. Bobby needs to take that picture down.
No, I like it. I could just. Oh, you know, we need to put like a speech bubble that just says ass.
Do what now?
We need to put a speech bubble on it that just says ass.
Agreed. We need to put a You can say hello. No, not that. The one on the NRR page where I'm like this, looking at somebody who's about to rip its head off.
You're like, ah.
And that Deb said you need to put like a balloon out the side of my head that's falling in half.
Yep.
Work on Photoshop. There you go.
Well, he likes his Photoshop. He'd be good at that.
I know. It'll give him something to practice with.
Exactly. I got that one done pretty quick last night, though.
Yeah, you did. Very proud of you.
I thank you. I should post the bearer picture up in the group and people can caption it.
Yeah, you should.
I'll do that later. I got a good picture of Bobby C from his show last night where he's got this like goofy shit-eating grin on. So
I know that was funny as hell.
He just posed there. He's like, "Okay, people, screen capture this."
Hold on, just.
Oh, she's doing something there. Anyway, so that's my rant about the church. I'm thinking I've got a piece from Sam for tonight. It's only like 4.5 minutes long though, so you guys are gonna have to go for a quick bio break.
Potty break.
So let me go ahead because once you hear it, I think we're going to end up talking about it for a while afterwards. So Sammy's calling the next conversation, even though she's not actually here. She's at work, so when you listen to this, fine, Sammy. She don't listen to her own piece though because she doesn't like her voice yet, but we'll work on that. So let's go ahead and we'll do that, and we'll be back. Well, everybody who's listening, keep listening because like the show not going anywhere. But us three will be back in like 4 minutes, and here comes Sammy. And now it's time for How Many Licks with Samantha Mondegreen. Take it away, Sam.
Hello, welcome to How Many Licks. This is Sammy here. So, this may become more than a one-part rant, but I'm going to talk a bit about the bathroom thing because, yeah, I just sounded like Lumberg from The Office Space there. You want to be on my podcast, Tibbs? That's my cat. Yeah? Apparently he wants to be part of it, too. I may actually have to pause this. Hold on a sec. Sorry, he won't shut the hell up. Okay. So I'm going to come at this from a couple different angles because this bathroom thing's starting to really piss me the fuck off. And I was hearing things about it even before I decided to transition myself. So I've seen a lot of different angles about it, from trying to live a male lifestyle and failing horribly at it to living with myself now and still seeing it from another perspective, basically. But it's still ridiculous no matter how you look at it. Every time I see somebody saying that, oh, it's a good thing there, I'm seeing almost always the same 5 unique examples being thrown out of, and I'm sure there's more, but I always see these 5 or 6 examples where somebody who is not transgendered but just dressing up, so a cisgendered male dressing up, going into some location and doing something bad, and them using that as leverage against somebody legitimately transgendered. It's ridiculous. It's a small handful of isolated incidents, and in the end, here's the funny thing about it, okay? Rapists are disgusting. I do not condone anything they do. Guys can be disgusting sometimes. Things like roofies, things like dangerous things, and gang rape. Horrible things can happen. If there was a sudden trend of men dressing up as women, A, so passively that women didn't notice them going into the bathroom, and B, to the point where they were able to molest a woman in a bathroom and get away with it without anybody else noticing. If there was a trend of this going on, women would be fucking talking about it. This wouldn't be just suddenly an idle conservative bullshit thing. If this was something like I know girls will get together and have roofie parties, for example, in their homes, and they'll do this not because they want to get drugged at a bar, but because if it happens, they'll know what it feels like and they can be more prepared for it. To an extent, women know these things can happen to them. It doesn't make it right. Absolutely it doesn't. But at least to an extent, women know. They know to watch their drink at a bar. They know don't walk down a dark alley at night on your own. Take the safe ways home. Things like that. You learn these things. These are not... And yes, bad things still do happen. Absolutely. Absolutely bad things still happen. But there is a level of preparedness that women have that men don't have. They don't need to have it. And that's okay. We'll let them not have it. But in the meantime, again, if this was suddenly a horrible raping spree of people pretending to be transgender, dressing up to get women in bathrooms, women would be talking about it all the time. This would be a thing. There would be ridiculous amounts of evidence compared to what's being presented here. So, knock it the fuck off. Holy shit. Like, really. Do you have any goddamn idea how terrified I am going into a bathroom? And how malnourished I will be some days because I think, hey, it's probably just safer with these places I'm going to where I'm already dealing with everyday small talk of words like faggot coming out of people's mouths, even if they aren't looking at me. That's just the shitty town that I live in. So I'm already in this bigoted, shitty area already. Let's go into a bathroom and be terrified as fuck. Okay? This is ridiculous. This needs to stop.
So, you see why I said we might want to talk about that? Beth is nodding.
I forgot to unmute
I don't even know
herself.
why the whole bathroom thing's in question. I mean, you go to football games and like little leagues and stuff. I mean, you have porta potties. You don't mind going downtown on River Street in Savannah, Georgia, and using thousands upon thousands of porta potties that everybody has been in.
Yep.
But you have a problem doing it in a restaurant?
Well, and the other thing is, like, now here in Canada, we have a lot of what they are called family bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means anybody of any gender with any combination of children can go in there. So why is the family bathroom not a giant pedophile rape fest and the women's bathroom would be?
Right.
Well,
I think Sam makes two really good points in her rant. Is one, there are no statistics that show that it's a problem from a legal standpoint, and she mentioned the 5 cases that the Reich likes to bring up, and as she notes, all 5 cases are cisgendered men who basically are rapists or prevalent to be one, breaking the law. It has nothing to do with being transgendered or LGBTQ, nothing whatsoever. There are no statistics. None. Zero. I mean, and that's basically proven. And the other point, and I forgot what the other point was now, I'll have to think about it. But yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I would be more concerned about a trans woman dressed as a trans woman, like like Sam, going into a male bathroom. I would have more I mean, all we have to do, as much as my opinion of the Tina Brandon story is a little wonky, basically what happened to Tina Brandon is what's going to happen to somebody like Sam.
Yeah.
They're going to get the fuck kicked out of them.
Yep.
Well, and Tina Brandon, for those who may not know, he was a transgender male who, for whatever reason, and we're not going to judge now, but did not disclose his status to a young lady that he was dating for a long time. She did eventually find out, but her family and friends that found out were so incensed by this that they killed Tina Brandon, or Brandon Tina.
Yeah.
They killed him because he loved this girl, and the girl eventually decided that they were going to continue a relationship with him, and they killed him. And it's just, you know, and there's that whole debate of, you know, should you tell? Well, absolutely. When do you tell? That's a whole very gray area of when should you tell, because there's a whole lot of things in play in there, and I think that's not something a bunch of cis people can really understand, right? That's something a trans person would need to understand. But yeah, they're you know, whether or not he told anybody or when he did is irrelevant. He doesn't deserve to die for that.
Right.
And brutally, like, I believe it was like a freaking axe murder or some shit, if I remember. It was nasty.
No, basically executed him.
Okay, shot him. Okay, I'm thinking of another murder then. But yeah.
But it's like an article I'll post in our show notes. It's a meme that's floated around where a fully trans man, beard, you know, cowboy hat, everything, and the caption under it says, "Do I look like I belong in a woman's facility?"
Yeah.
Republicans are trying to get legislation passed that would put me there based on my gender at birth. Trans people aren't going into the bathroom to spy on you or otherwise. I mean, what it comes down to, they're going in to take a shit.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, maybe fix their makeup, you know, depending on the situation.
Pee, check their hair, you know, whatever. But, like, listen to what Sam said. Like, she will actually starve herself when she knows that she won't have access to a bathroom that she's comfortable with.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
that's crazy.
It is.
And I'm not even trans, and when I first moved here, my hair used to be about a ½ inch. I basically cut all my hair off. I worked in a factory during the summer. It got very, very warm. I didn't want to deal with it. Now it's kind of a revolt kind of thing, so my hair is much longer. I still, like, if I asked to use a restroom, got sent to the boys' room.
Ugh.
Okay, this was, maybe 16 years ago, so I was like 40 years old.
Wow.
I'm a 44 double D, people. How the fuck do you confuse that? So imagine what someone that's transgender goes through.
Yeah.
I'm like, excuse me, no, I need the ladies' room, you dumb fuck. And they're like, oh. I mean, I'm not the most feminine woman around, but so I can imagine for somebody like Sam. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I can't believe that in the year 2016 we are fighting against, you know, people trying to figure out what restroom an individual should use. I mean, really, come on, we have bigger problems, and this is not even a problem. I mean, I don't remember because I wasn't alive, but, I mean, hearing about how blacks and whites had to use separate bathrooms.
Yeah.
So at the time we had 4 different bathrooms, one for black women, one for white women, one for black males, and one for white males. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, come on, people, give it a rest. Let the people pee.
You know what? And as far as I'm concerned, Let's get away from the segregated any kind of bathroom. Because, like I said, we've had these family bathrooms in Canada as long as I can remember. Like, well, I think I started seeing them when I was, like, under 10. So, for a very long time. I have never, ever, 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 ever heard of a problem in a family bathroom. And that's got men, that's got women, that's got boy children, girl children, that's got people with that need wheelchairs, it's got everything. It's got people baby changing stations, it's got everything. I've never heard of a problem. So right now,
anybody have a problem with Walmart having one?
Walmart does have them.
Walmart's had one for, yeah. The one, well, it's 30 minutes away from where I live. They've had it for at least 15 years.
Yeah, our Walmart doesn't. Our Walmart still has the men and women. Mostly all of our places down here have the men and women.
Right.
Yeah. We have men's and women's, and they also have a family bathroom.
But you think, like, just think about this ridiculous argument, and Sam, I know the exact article that Sam's talking about because some person who was on my friends list, who I didn't really know very well, last week again started, bathroom things, we should protect the child. I'm like, don't let me blast you in the next week, buddy, because I will. But this same stories of, well, this person put on a dress and went and, like, fondled people, blah, blah, blah. Well, if that shit was common, and I live in a city of over 250,000 people, and I know the main shopping mall has a family bathroom, right? Like, thousands of people use that mall every day. You would think that once in the last, like, I've lived in this city since 1990, you would think I would have heard of somebody somewhere getting, accosted or ogled or something in the fucking family bathroom. Because if you're a predator, why would you go dress up in a dress and go to the women's bathroom when you got this family bathroom with all kinds of women and children in it all the time anyway? Right? You wouldn't. You would go in there because I'm a man. I'm allowed to go in there, and you would do your thing. Nobody ever done it. Ever.
Well, what I find funny, too, is that it's the same 5 cases, which have been basically debunked since day one when they occurred. They have a police, I know at least one of them has a police report which basically states this has nothing to do with transgender issue. This is a guy who, was a serial pedophile, for lack of a better word. I don't know what term they used. I mean, the police report even states that it's not the issue.
That's right. Well, and so the people that are using these stories now, they're saying, oh, well, we know that they're not really transgender people, but the law is what allowed them to try to do this. I'm like, bullshit. Anybody can put, like, okay, let's say I decide that I want to go less dudes, right? So I can put up my hair, go get a theatrical mustache, put on a pair of jeans and go into the fucking men's room so I can look at penises, right? There's nothing stopping me from doing that right now if I wanted to. Because
yeah, exactly. The law has nothing to do with it.
Me wanting, if I legitimately was fucked up that I wanted to go in and, like, stare at and try and grab guys' penises, that's already against the law. Okay? So the fact that maybe if I dressed up as a dude to get in there and do it is irrelevant. And the other point that I always bring up, because when they're, the children, so fuck all the little boys that go into the men's room, because if you're saying that all of these predators are men that just want to put on dresses, they could just go in the men's room and molest any old little boy they want to. So, well, fuck them, because,
And they forgot one important point. Pedophiles don't care whether it's a young girl or a young child.
Nope.
An actual pedophile could give 2 fucking shits whether they're fucking a boy or fucking a girl. And I'm sorry to put it that way, but that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
A true pedophile, which is anything under the age of 11, is gender non-specific. So, like you said, what's stopping the guys from molesting the little boys?
Exactly.
And I can guarantee that's probably going on more than what the right will admit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, holy hell! Just today there was I posted a story concerning a Reich spokesman who got busted using pedophilia as a cure for his well, not a cure, a treatment for his depression and autism.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
10 years he was doing that, child pornography, because he had a relationship broken up. And I'm not dishing his autism because, I'm sorry, autism had nothing to fuck to do with it, except in his mind.
Yeah.
10 years. And his whole gripe was, oh, I couldn't get treatment. Well, then don't vote against the ACA. Maybe you'll get the treatment you need. Now, one caveat, he is in treatment, he is following his protocol and all that. I wish him the best. But
yeah,
he's one that has used that argument in the past.
Well, and the funny thing is, too, when I bring up to somebody like this person that was on my wall last week, and I say, what about the poor little boys that are stuck in the men's room with, like, from what I gather from you, all of these pedophiles? No response. And I've used that on several people. They have no response to that. Oh, but it's the law. No, fuck you. Just fuck you.
Well, they could be like the bishop and say, well, the children were homosexual and they were coming on.
Oh, yeah, it's the kids.
To the
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was the defense used in the one of the pedophile priest cases, that the children were coming onto the priest because they were gay. Yep. How's a 10-year-old going to know that?
I guarantee
that they don't.
How about the priest who's an adult have the fucking morals, who supposedly follows Christ, not fucking touch a child? Forget the fact that, okay, let's say that this kid did decide to make a pass at the grown-ass fucking priest.
Yeah.
The priest has an obligation to say no.
That's right. And then to take that kid and get them some help, because there's obviously something wrong if they're making a pass at an adult.
Right. No, I'd rather take them in the back because they made a pass at me.
Yeah, well, because they started it, so now it's not my fault anymore, so I can do whatever I want, right?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Going to your thing about the little boys in the bathroom, I just found a meme that it's new choices, and on the left it has a women's bathroom with get arrested, and on the right side is a men's bathroom door, and it says get raped and beaten with a nondescript individual.
Or killed. So instead, people are starving themselves or dehydrating themselves because they don't want to be forced with that choice, either getting arrested or getting beaten up or killed for having a fucking pee.
Yeah.
Ugh. I swear, if I yeah. Well, fake heaven help whoever tries that shit around me, because
well, it's like Trippin says in the chat room. Crazy ass hypocrite people. Yeah, most problems has been an older guy trying to molest boys in the bathroom. Bet I could find 10 just in North Carolina this year. Wasn't long ago, a sheriff got busted hiding a cam in a tanning salon not too long ago.
Exactly, and that's the thing is, 9 times out of 10, the people who are really pushing for this shit are the ones that are guilty of it, and they're trying to project it onto a marginalized group so that they can get away with their own bullshit. And nobody's going like, oh, look at all those wacko trans people. I'm a cisgender person. I could never do anything like that. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're the kid fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Piss me the fuck off.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like right now. Okay, I have a 10-year-old and I have a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I've done my best to teach my 10-year-old that look, nobody's allowed to touch you.
yeah.
You know, and that's what I've always taught my 15-year-old too, because the way I see it is if anybody touches him by giving him a spanking or anything like that, that's not their place.
That's right.
Right.
And because I don't spank my kids, nobody else has that right to do it either.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So I teach them, if anybody touches you, you need to come tell mommy, you need to come tell daddy, tell Bobby, tell us four amongst the ones you can trust.
Yeah.
So, but like if we go to restaurants or something, Brent, he's turning into this. He's the 10-year-old that's like trying to find his, he's looking for his, why does my brother always have to go with me everywhere I go? That type thing.
Yeah. Independence.
Yeah, his independence. But when he goes to restrooms, because I have that fear of some, anybody either wanting to kidnap him or touch him. So, Christian, I know Christian's got a phone on him. Christian knows what to do.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, it's for your safety. But it's bad that we have to do things like that.
It is. It absolutely is. But I think that's the smart way to do it. Like when I see a child, like even when there's like a father and mother standing outside the bathroom, when I see a child alone in a public washroom, I want to go out and strangle their fucking parents.
Right.
Even if they're standing outside. Because you don't know who the fuck is going there. Okay, so maybe you know that they aren't going to be carried away because you're standing outside the door, but you don't know what else is going to happen in there.
Look, there was a time that I had to go run to the restroom or something, and Brinson was like, I gotta go too. And so I took him, 10 years old, took him to the bathroom with me.
Yes, absolutely.
Mom, I'm in the women's bathroom. I'm like, no, you're in a bathroom.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. And that's the way it should be. And that's why I say do away with gender segregated bathrooms. Build the fucking stall from the floor to the ceiling and just do away with any, have one bathroom.
Right.
Tear out the wall, make it one big ass fucking bathroom. And I've had, wood urinals, blah, blah, blah. Okay, how many men do you know that has a fucking urinal in their house at home?
Right.
Like, there might be a few rich ones out there that do, but for fuck's sakes, 99% of men do not have a fucking urinal at home. They can use a goddamn toilet.
Agreed. Just make sure they put the lid back down.
Yes. And so then we could just put signs above all the toilets, please put the lid down when you're done, and that's all we need.
Right.
And aim. That would be probably another sign.
Yeah. Aim low, not high.
Yes. Please aim for the bowl and put it down when you're done. Thank you.
Or don't be like, what I caught my child doing one time, in there and making designs with his pee. I'm like, no, son, no. You don't come in here to play. You come in here to use the bathroom, But Mom, it's cool. No.
Okay, some year, I'm sure you'll be able to bring him up here for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Some year you do. I will take you out to the forest somewhere, and he can write his name in the snow somewhere.
Okay, now that didn't even sound right. Me and Deborah is going to take a boy out into the woods and let him write his name. No.
Bobby can come too. Well, I live in the city. Otherwise, I'd just say go out in the yard and have fun. But, no. Because I'm pretty sure every guy I ever grew up with did that somewhere.
Probably.
I'm a farm girl, so. But, yeah. So, next thing that I kind of had on the list, and I'll probably take us to the end, is that whole bullshit with France and the burkini. You read
Yeah,
about
I
that,
started
Ashley?
reading a little bit about that. I saw Beth Presswood talking about it a little bit, but I hadn't delve. I haven't
Well,
dove into it yet.
well, I don't have a story in front of me, but the gist of it is in France, especially the French Riviera, where they have the beaches and everything. And there's a lot of nude beaches out there too.
Right.
This is just like the normal beaches, because there's a high Muslim population in those areas now. A lot of Muslim women that are allowed to go to the beach, they wear something called a burkini, which is basically like almost like a wetsuit.
Uh
Like
huh.
when you see them, it looks like they're wearing a wetsuit because they got the hijabi part, and it covers them like up to the wrists and the ankles. But it's like I think it's not going to be like wetsuit material. It's going to be like bathing suit material, and
Okay, I'm
it's
sitting here looking at it online.
yeah. And so like they look like they're wearing a wetsuit,
Right.
and so the thing is, a number of the cities in the French Riviera in that region started banning anyone from wearing these burkinis, as they call them, on the beach. And there was a series of photos going around, and I think there might have even been a video clip of some policemen, and I'm not sure what city it was, but they accosted. It was a Muslim woman wearing this bikini thing, and she had like a robin's egg blue shawl thing over her head and shoulders as well. And they made her strip off the blue shawl thing and fined her for wearing the rest of the burkini thing. And oh yeah, and they showed pictures of like the policemen standing around her while she took the blue shawl thing off, and they were comparing it to, they had side by side photos of Nazis making Jewish women strip and stuff like that. And I can kind of get the comparison,
Right.
but so and there's a lot of support for this, but I don't think that's quite the way to go.
Yeah, I think they're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. And now Beth and I were talking about this a bit before the show. Now I still support banning the niqab, which is the face covering,
Mhm.
and that is absolutely a safety issue to me. Because and let me tell you, in Kitchener, it was a couple of years ago now, there was a group of bank robbers, and like I say, it's only 250,000 people here. It's not a huge city, and there was a group of no, not bank robbers, jewelry store robbers that were going into. We have two major shopping malls in Kitchener, Waterloo, and another one in Cambridge. It's like the Tri-City. Look it up on a map, people. But there's three major shopping malls around here. And this band, there was like four of them, I think, four or five. They would go into the mall and they were wearing an abaya, which is the big sort of, like, it's not the burqa, it's like the burqa without the head top piece, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? It looks like a giant dress tent
Right.
thing.
Which is
And
what I mostly see around here.
yes. So they put wearing abayas and a niqab over their faces. So a hijab and a niqab and everything. So all you could see was their eyes. And they were going into these jewelry stores with things like wrenches and hammers and I think maybe a knife or two, because we don't have guns here, people. And at least not much outside of Toronto. And they were holding up these jewelry stores and stealing jewelry and then running through the mall and terrorizing people. And they were all men. They were all men wearing niqabs. Then they held up one jewelry store twice and another one before they were caught.
Right.
And can you like, this is a mall I go to like, almost every week. I've been to that mall thousands of times, and the uneasiness that comes with thinking that a group of men dressed up like women could come through with knives and hammers and wrenches and shit and threaten to beat people and are stealing shit. That's scary. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And nobody would have known that those were men until they started holding up a store. They
right.
walked in and pretending like they were looking at jewelry, and next thing you know, they're threatening to beat people's heads in with hammers and shit.
Wow.
That is right there is why I will steadfastly defend burning probably too, banning the niqab.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, the burkini thing is just a bit much.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, because I mean, I see your point. With banning the whatever the thing it was that you just called it.
Niqab.
Yeah, that thing. I see your point on that because I mean, we've had you know hell, it seems here lately most of our robberies have happened with no type of dress up or whatever. They're just in regular clothes. They don't even put ski mask on anymore. you know so apparently criminals are getting dumber, but but on the same hand, do we want to ban something because you're basically now telling somebody that they can't dress a certain way? I mean, I believe keeping religion and state separate. But if it was my religion to wear if I was following a religion that I thoroughly believe that this is how I should dress, then I should be able to dress that way.
Yeah. I mean, I can't stand religious dress. I hate it. And I think that it's far more politically based than people are willing to admit. But I'm
Anger.
still, and I will admit, seeing a woman in a hijab makes me angry. But I would not go up to that woman and say, "Take that shit off," because you're making me angry.
Right.
Because
Probably
I'm
won't because they're being made to wear it.
I'm prancing around with a dick on my chest and cleavage and tattoos and whatever. I'm probably scared the fuck out of her.
Probably.
But probably, but
Do you honestly think that they're wearing it by choice though,
no.
or you think that they're being forced to wear it?
Well,
Well, it's
not
like I said to
yeah.
Deb before the show. I have had, being the keyword, a friend who tried to use that argument that it was her choice, and she is Muslim. And I said, okay, if it's your choice, tomorrow take it off and don't wear it at all,
Right.
and see what happens. Needless to say, she unfriended me within 24 hours. It's not a choice.
It's
But
not. And
like
even.
Deb,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like Deb, I mean, religion has nothing to do with not banning the burkini. I can see, from a safety point, the banning of anything that covers your face. I'm sorry, I worked in retail for 30 plus years, and we used to make people remove their motorcycle helmets that had a face covering on it, just so our cameras can see their face.
Yeah, well, like I said to Beth before the show, if Scientology suddenly decreed that all their members had to walk around wearing Jason hockey masks, do you really think that they would get away with that shit?
No.
Like the first time a bunch of Scientologists walked into a shopping mall wearing fucking Jason masks, they would get told take that shit off or get out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They absolutely would. In fact, the last time that I got uncomfortable by somebody in a face mask it wasn't a mask per se, but a couple of summers ago, every summer there's a vintage car cruise night downtown here. And I remember as we were walking downtown, there was this guy, and he was a white guy, and he was a small white guy. Not much bigger than me, but this white guy, and he had a backpack on and like a jean jacket and jeans, but he had a bandana across his face. And that freaked me the fuck out because I was like, why is that guy covering his face? Because there's no reason, like, we don't have pollution here like they do in I know, like, in places like Indonesia and China and that, people wear face masks because of the pollution. I get that. But this guy walking around with a red bandana over his face and a white guy, and I'm like, why the fuck is that guy wearing a face mask? And I watched that guy like a hawk because I was uncomfortable with him doing that. So, you know, it's the same thing. Like, you can't wear a balaclava, and if anybody knows what that is, that's the quote ski mask. Balaclava. You can't walk around in public, even, you know, even in the winter here, unless it was like a you know, chill warning. Here, then okay, people would be okay with that. But if it was like, say, late fall, yeah, or the heat of summer. But even if it was like late fall, but there was no snow or whatever, and somebody's walking around with ski mask on, you're damn straight somebody's gonna call the cops and be like, "There's some asshole walking around with ski mask on. I don't know what he's doing, and it's scaring the shit out of me." And go find out what he's doing.
Yeah, they
Go ahead.
the red bandanas. They actually ban. I mean, people can walk around with them in their pockets and things like that, but they actually banned those here over the faces because it was a sign of gang colors.
And that's what that dude was wearing. It was a red bandana over his face.
Yeah, Crips in the Bloods.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure we don't have Crips and Bloods in Kitchener. I could be wrong, but I really don't think we do. But just the fact of that guy wearing it was like, what the fuck is going on here? That's not normal. Stop that shit. Like, I watched him long enough that I didn't think he was overly skeezy, but if I had my phone, I would have been calling the cops saying there's some guy acting all weird with a bandana over his face. Come and take care of it, please.
Well, I know I used to have a kid that came into the store that I worked at, and I knew the kid. I knew his parents, but he was wearing a motorcycle helmet just with a face shield, so it just covered like this part of his face. But he also had, you can open carry here, but you have to have a permit. And he walks into the store with his gun on his side with a face mask. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, you dumbass? I mean, do you want to get shot? Do you want to use your gun? I mean, it's like, you don't walk into a store with your face covered and a fucking gun on your hip.
Exactly.
I mean, even here in the States, we have a law when you get your photo taken for your driver's license. You can't wear a face mask. I know people have tried to challenge that law, but it comes down to safety. I mean, and whether it be on your state issue ID, or in my case, I have what would be considered a sheriff's card, because I don't drive and I'm not spending money to get a state issue card, although I'm going to have to. You can't cover your face. You can't even wear a hat. I mean, and that's why, you know, the whole Pastafarian thing. But Trippin makes a really interesting point concerning Muslim women, especially in Iran. If you go back to like the early 80s and even to the 70s, prior to the Islamic, I'll say, takeover, for lack of a better word, you did not see a burqa or a hijab or any of that shit prior to that. They were walking around just like you and I were in the 70s.
You know, I was shocked when everyone told me about that. That it's
I mean, if you read Khalid Hosseini's book Kite Runner, he even talks about it when they had the I don't know, not coup, Civil War. He mentions that in all three of his books. Splendid Sun is the second one, and I can't remember the title of the third one. I haven't read it yet. But, I mean, he talks about it. And prior to that war, you know, Muslim women were just like your general Western women. This bullshit didn't become popular until the last 20, 30 years or so. And if you follow the patriarchy movement here in the States specifically, you have a lot more Christian women following the whole head covering bullshit. Now, I know in the Mennonite culture and in the Amish, that is part of their religion, and it is actually in the Bible. although I think it's part of Pollyanity, not Christianity. But I mean, that's even making a push to become normal. I mean, it's all religious based, but this.
Well, put it this way: the whole cover your shit up in Islam, that's not in the Quran. It's not. You know what's in the Quran? And actually, I listened to, and you've heard me talk about the Masked Arab before, and I was listening to him in an interview last week where he was talking about this, and somebody asked him, and he said, no, it's not in the Quran. Now, in those times in that region, and if you think about pictures or the romanticized, you know, Jesus and Mary and Joseph, they all got that drape over their head, right? And like they wear in Saudi Arabia, they got the drape over the head with the headband, right? That's what they wore, men included, because in the Bible, all the men wear that shit on their heads too, because of the climate and the temperature, and they're in the desert and it's hot. They all wore it. So what's in the Quran? What's in the Quran is take the head covering that's already there. That does not mean a hijab. That's referring to a head covering that everyone is already wearing, and cover your chest. So the only thing that really is in the Quran is no cleavage. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you look at I'll use Saudi Arabia, for example, at Saudi dress, it's very loose and flowing, and the men, like you said, wear, for lack of a better word, a bandana. Why? Yeah. Because it's fucking hot there.
Yeah.
You know, it's all, I mean, and their clothing is very loose to allow for airflow. I mean, it has nothing, like, I'm glad you brought that point up about it not even being in the Quran. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and if you, like I say, if you look at what Saudi Arabian men wear today, and take the fact that they have modern fabrics and they have those cool patterns on their headgear and whatever, they look exactly like the dudes that you see drawn from the Bible, because it's from the same fucking places and the same climate, and they all wore that shit.
Yep.
It's all the same. And that's the only thing. Take the head covering and cover your chest. That's all that's in the Quran. And they say the head covering because they assume everybody's already got one.
You know, I was reading up on the burkinis, and and there was an article there. Told y'all done created a monster. and apparently there is some uproar, or it's not really an uproar, it's just like really an article talking about the face keening.
Oh.
The New York Times put it out about three hours ago. Said face kini wearing Chinese stand up for the right to bear nothing.
Okay.
And apparently what they do is they use face kinis because they don't want their faces to get, when they go to the beach, they don't want their faces to get dark. And they wear something that's similar to a burkini because they think that, let me see what the quote was here. I just kind of chuckled when I read it. Said that they should wear it because a woman's, or Chinese beach-going women don the face kini to shield themselves from the sun. In some Asian countries, not only do many women fear wrinkles caused by ultraviolet rays, but they also want to be as pale as possible.
Okay, well, no, the only people paler than this bitch in this continent is an albino, and I get by with sunscreen all summer just fine.
Yeah, and you don't really, I mean, you're pale, but then you turn like a bright red, and then you go back to pale.
Exactly. I burn, but I don't turn dark. But even then, like, I'll go out all day on the motorcycle with number 60 sunblock, and I'm fine. I'll go to the beach. You get the waterproof shit, and you just have to spray it back on when you get out of water. It's not that hard, people.
Well, I think some of the issue with the Chinese face kinis, I don't know what the equivalent is in China, but in Japan they have a similar thing, but it's tied into the whole geisha culture.
Right.
And if you like in the with geishas, if you know, they use the white face paint to make themselves look even paler. And I think, and I'd have to find the reference for it, but this came out a couple years ago. Someone was talking about, you know, how Chinese women, but I don't know what the corollary to the geisha in China is, but it also goes in with the whole foot binding bullshit too, where they would bind their feet.
Yeah.
It's that culture.
Yeah.
More so than
and as I say, I can understand the cultures where they've got a shit ton of pollution and they wear like the surgical masks out in public. But the other thing with that is, and where I think my objection to the niqab comes in the strongest is, even if you say, well, okay, we'll allow the surgical mask and maybe the Chinese women on the beaches, because if you came up to a Chinese woman on the beach and said, hey, I need to identify you, take that off, they would do it. A woman in a niqab will not.
Right.
And that's where I have my issue is, if it's really whatever the fucking reason, okay, wear it, whatever, but if somebody comes up to you and says, I'm sorry, I need to see your face, and you take that fucking thing off, even if it's for 2 minutes or whatever. You take it off, and then you put it back on. But they will refuse and then claim, racism and discrimination because somebody wants to see their face somewhere.
Right.
That's the other main place I have a problem. All them other, I don't like any of those other reasons except for the surgical mask, because I can understand that. That's a medical issue, right? You're driving around in pollution, you don't want to get sick, or somebody who's got a communicable disease, like they got strep or mono or some shit, and they want to go get groceries. And we don't do that here, but in Asian cultures, that's considered, rude if you are sick and you go out in public and you don't put a mask on.
Yep.
Right? That's fucking rude to do that. We should probably do that. But that, again, if somebody said, okay, I'm going to stand 6 feet away, now take that thing off so I can see your face for a second, they would do it, right? But a Muslim woman is not going to take the fucking niqab off. And that's my problem.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Damn it, we agree.
Well, what the hell, man? But we're coming up near the end of the show anyway. So any other points or things anybody wants to talk about?
No, y'all actually made it pretty. I actually learned this evening.
Good, this is good.
I now know what a burkini is.
Exactly.
I just want to say I'd burn the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, a couple weeks ago, I went to an apologetics meetup in Toronto, and it was really humid out, like super hot and humid. And I got stuck on a subway in Toronto that had no air conditioning.
Oh,
and oh, it's like driving around in a fucking tin can in the sun, even though you're underground. So I'm sitting there, and I didn't have glory hole on, but I had another tank top on. I think it was my Unabashed Atheist shirt, actually. But I was like, tank top and shorts, and I'm sitting in there like, ugh. And these women come in, Muslim women, wearing, a hijab. They had their faces out, but they had the long sleeve shirts and the pants and the sweaters, and I was just like, I'm starting to hyperventilate just looking at you. Like, how in the...
Here in Savannah during the summer, and it's like, what? Hell no.
Yeah, no. And I think...
They better have air conditioner up under there.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know what the fuck they got under there, right? But I think, too, in those other, like in Saudi and that, it's desert. That's dry. I've been in dry heat in Mexico, and it's really, really different. Like what I experienced in Savannah last year, Ashley, where I was like, nope, go get the car.
Yep.
That was actually not as hot as it was when I was in Mexico. In Mexico, I went walking up like this big ass fucking hill in the middle of town because there was no humidity.
Right.
And it makes a huge difference. You can't breathe in a bunch of fucking like water in the air. You just like
Right.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's a big difference, but anyway. I don't know how the hell they do that, and you would have to be, your God would have to do some serious ass shit before I would do that. I'm just saying.
Agreed.
Yep. Alrighty then. Well, let's start wrapping things up. So, Miss Ashley, where can we find you?
You can find me here, of course, every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I think I've lost count how many times I've showed up in a row, by the way. So that's a good thing.
You missed one because you were sick.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, you did.
But I done good.
You were in the chat. You were in the chat.
You
so
were
that
in
counts-
chat.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was in the chat, so that kind of sort of counts.
That counts half. So there you go.
But I can also be found on No Religion Required every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We did test out doing a Google Hangout like we do here. Thanks to Deborah. She talked Bobby into showing him how to do it all, and we actually did it last night. We still got some things we got to tweak, but it looks like it's going to become a thing. And that's every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Spreaker. And we'll, of course, we have the YouTube. We are taking 2 weeks off because we're just taking some time off. And
I believe he worded it as a fucking tired.
Yeah. We are. We're fucking tired.
Yep, we deserve a break.
So we're going to take a break. So after this, y'all won't probably hear from me again until next Monday night.
That's fine. Well, you better have your ass here because we have a kick-ass guest next week.
Oh, I'll be here.
Good. Excellent.
And I can be found on Twitter at Miss_Ashley_NRR.
And you got it right. Yay.
I did. I've been practicing.
And Beth, where do we find you?
Well, for those of you living under a rock, if you didn't already know, Gene Wilder passed away today, so he's joining his lovely wife, Gilda Radner. And for those that know me well enough know, Gilda Radner has always been an inspiration, so I'm a little bummed about that, but he was 83. But easiest way is Twitter, 998, or Dune 998, duh. And I have been posting a little bit more, although Science Woo. And that connects to my blog, which is Havoc and Chaos, and that also connects to Facebook under Beth A. Hambridge. That's the easiest way to find me. And I'm here every week. Try to be, anyways. Last week I got tired.
Yeah, that's okay. You were here for most of it. It's not
Yeah, I was like, it's really sad when you're on camera and you're nodding off. I was like, yeah, I better go to bed. So.
Well, the good thing is when you're in the thumbnail at the bottom, it's not so easy to tell what you're doing. So there's that.
Yeah, it's annoying though because I just could not stay focused, and it's like, okay, this is really embarrassing. So I did that to Cherry ass one time too.
That's all right. It happens.
So.
All right. So of course you can always find me Sunday nights at 12:05, or sorry, Sunday morning at 12:05 a.m. on Holy Crap the Vlogcast, holycrapthevlogcast.com. Me and like 5 to 7 other people, depending on what's going on in every given week. And we talk about all kinds of shit, and I never know probably what we're going to talk about until I get there, but that's okay, because it's Shuge and Tribble's show, and I don't have to know. And next week, I'm really excited. We have a lady named Karen Garst who will be joining us. She is a PhD and an author who is about to publish a new book called Women Beyond Belief, and it is the stories of 22 secular and atheist women, herself included, and it's their stories or whatever it is they wanted to talk about in the book. So I'm like 2/3 of the way through it. It's a kick-ass book, and she's going to come on and talk to us about the book and her journey and all of that fun stuff. So I'm super excited about it. And one of the other ladies' stories in the book is I hope I'm saying this right, Lelandra Raw, Aaron Raw's wife, and she's a lovely lady. I've had the occasion to meet her, and she tells her story in the book too, so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's next week, Karen Garst and Women Beyond Belief. So super, super excited about that. And that's going to be, of course, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, like we are every week right here. A couple other things to talk about, as usual, the Taylor Scholarship. If you haven't heard us talk about this before, they are through the Whitefields Educational Foundation out of Utah, and they provide counseling services for people leaving religion. In Utah, it's usually heavy on the Mormons, but they provide services to anyone at all who wants counseling to help with leaving from religion. The Taylor Scholarship provides money for people who are in that situation who cannot afford to pay for the counseling. Whitefields tries to keep it, as affordable as they can, but they really, they can't keep the lights on with prayers, and they know that. So we need to help those folks out who can't afford it. So that's whitefieldseducational.org/My Book of Mormon podcast, because it began by David Michael. And that link is already in the show notes, so you can go ahead and click on that. Also, friend of the show, Spencer Lucas, who has put on the non-conference in Ontario for the last 3 years. This year, the conference, which I unfortunately had to miss because of that wedding I went to, yes. It was a great event, but unfortunately he did not get the ticket sales that he had hoped for, and he is facing a financial loss, and also big enough that he may not be able to put the conference on in the future. So he has started a GoFundMe in order to help defer some of the losses that he personally took after this year's conference, and hopefully be able to continue to do the conference in the future. So I have put a link to that in the show notes as well, and that's at the GoFundMe. So please just take a look on the either Spreaker or on the YouTube side. It should be there in the show notes. And of course, we have a Patreon. If you feel like you want to give us some money, that'd be awesome too. We are paying for our Spreaker on our own now, after the gracious gift of Cash and Professor Stephen for the last 2 years. So, any little bit there could be helpful as well. So, yeah, that's all the begging for this week, I think. Yeah, so other than that, I believe that's everything for this week. And as I say, we're really excited about next week and hearing from Karen and talking about these 22 amazing women whose stories that she's bringing us in her new book. So we will be talking all about that next week. And until then, as always, I will leave you with Dave Foda and the Creed for Humans.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
I know the truth and power of reason and of rational thinking, and I will use them to my advantage. I know the truth and power of educating myself and of expanding my intellectual boundaries, and I will educate myself. I know the truth and power of vanquishing ignorance, and I will do so whenever the opportunity presents itself. I know the truth and power of morality without supervision, and of true and accurate righteousness. I know the truth and power of obliterating tyranny, be it intellectual, emotional, or philosophical, and will work toward that goal whenever and however possible. I know the truth and power of human ingenuity. I know the truth and power of human compassion, and I will be mindful of the welfare of others. I know the truth and power of equality and fairness for all living things. I know the truth and power of the importance of our families, our friends, and our fellow men and women. I know the truth and power of human stewardship of our lands, our waters, and our skies, and I will try to act to preserve our environment. I know the truth and power of the sciences of mathematics, of physics, and of chemistry, and of the important role of these disciplines in understanding the workings of this cosmos. I know the truth and power of the rejection of all notions or beliefs that reside in the supernatural or the superstitious, and of those notions or beliefs that we are not supposed to be able to explain. And I know that these rejections are necessary for humankind's survival. I am a human being with a free mind, liberated from irrational influence and from unreasonable dogma.